Passing by, how many wrongs does it take to right? How many wrongs does it take to right? Daily, lately, I'm spinning around so crazy. So baby, just take me. I think I'm caught up in the way I feel. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Washington High Athletic Hall of Fame dinner and recognition. It's a great crowd tonight. We're very happy to have you here. You'll probably hear far more from me than you want to hear, but that's part of the tickets that you paid for. Before we begin, I am going to ask you to refer to the back of your program, and we are going to have everyone stand as Mr. Hoff used to have us do it, and Mr. Nold, and we're going to sing the Washington High School song. So please stand. Thanks, everybody, and you can leave now. All right, let's do the invocation. First of all, welcome. We're back. It's been a little while. We fought through this pandemic. It's not over yet, but a shout out to all those frontliners, especially in the health organizations who have done a wonderful job. And I want to tell you something. Around the country, and you've watched the news, I've watched the news, and you've seen schools that haven't been in operation and everything. A shout out to the Sioux Falls School District, because we've been there, the teachers, the educators, the administrators, the custodians. I'll tell you what, these people have done a wonderful job. And we've been in school for 2 years, so we're really proud of that. And I'm proud to be a part of it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the joy of sports, competition, inspiration, and the true meaning of team. Thank you for bringing warriors and their families together once again. And thank you for this gift of food that we're about to receive. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Again, good evening and welcome to the Washington Pavilion, the former Washington High School. I was thinking on the way down here tonight, when was the first time I ever walked into this building? And it would have been the spring of 1967 when I took my gun course, which I almost failed, but it was up on 3rd floor. But this building's a special place for a lot of us. All of our inductees this year are from the current Washington. But we've always said in the committee, it's very important to remember our roots and where we came from. This is a special building, and it holds many memories. In a few moments, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Alumni Hall, which is up here. And even if you're not a Washington High grad, we'd really, really gladly ask you to stop by there sometime, even during the day. When I was teaching at current Washington High, the comparison contrast paper my students wrote was on comparing old Washington and new Washington. And I said, now be careful. I said, we're not saying there's anything wrong with the current Washington, because it's a beautiful building. But I said, go look at it and just try to see the different flow and everything. And of all the assignments I think we ever did, that was one of the favorites that they had. They just could not get over, how neat it was to come back here and see the various things. So I encourage you. You're probably wondering who I am. I am not Lowell Hansen. I'm Jeff Herbert. I graduated from this building I coached down here. I taught at the current Washington for over 20 years and coached there also. And I'm on a couple of Washington High boards and stuff here and still help out once in a while in the district, and it's just wonderful to be a part of this. Before I begin, let's get a little bit more history. I'm sure that's just what you're waiting for. When you walk out the building tonight, you're going to look, if you go north, there's a cornerstone from the class of 1935 that states, "The thing of most value and joy that takes place here is the flow of human interest. It is the spirit of the institution to be human in all of its activities. May the days spent here be filled to overflowing with scholastic attainment, courteous conduct, joy and happiness. Each life shall abound with gladness, and our high school days shall ever remain a happy memory." And that was June 16th, 1935, that particular class. And that has meaning for those of us, especially that went to high school here. The history of this committee needs to be notified also and recognized. It began on December 29th, 1994, and we have a couple of founding members here tonight, Dean Mann, and Wayne Carney. And Jim, I think, Luce, you were in on a lot of the beginning things also, and I don't want to miss anybody, but I tried to peruse and see who's here tonight. But those folks got together and said, you know, there's quite a history here, and if you look in your booklet, look at some of the championships. Not some of them, look at all of them. And it's an amazing, amazing record of accomplishment over the years here. We have several categories, but before I read the categories for induction here, the purpose of the Hall of Fame is to recognize and honor former members of the coaching staff, administration, athletes, and contributors for their outstanding achievements and contributions to the athletic programs at Washington High School. The category of athlete, an athlete who has excelled in athletics at Washington High and has graduated at least 10 years prior to his or her induction. A coach is a coaching staff member who has made a positive impact on the athletic tradition of Washington High and has been out of coaching at least 5 years. An administrator, athletic or administrative, who has made a positive impact on the athletic tradition of Washington High and has been out of administration for 5 years. And finally, a contributor, a community or school person who has made a significant contribution to the Washington High athletic program. I say this to preface what we're doing tonight, but also if you know of someone from this building or current Washington High that is deserving, please put together some information. It can be on the back of an envelope, but get it to Nate Melchow and the committee, and they will certainly consider. They vote on these folks. I was on the committee for many years, and we had excellent nominations. Not everybody makes it. But I do encourage you to do that because we don't want to miss anybody, I guess is the bottom line to all of this. This year's committee, and I would like them to stand, is President Jenny Brim, Jeff Kale. Where's Brim at? Oh, sorry. She played basketball for me a few years ago, so. Nate Melchow, Brian Hermanson, Jill Joyce Hazard, Lynn Redding, Jim Trett, Shane Riley, Steve Sievertson, and Matt Schultz. These people do a lot of work, believe me, to put this together, and it's all for the love of Washington High School. So if you'll give them a round of applause. This is our 27th year and 26th banquet. Do you want me to elaborate on that, or should we just let that go and move on to the next topic? So, I want to acknowledge several people before we go on here who are on the committee and going off, and also people that have contributed that are off now that weren't able to be recognized last year. Lowell Hanson, please stand up. Lowell was the MC here for many years. And Lowell just did an outstanding job. Good friend, good man. Thank you, Lowell. Jim Luce. Jim, please stand. No, you got to stand. Thanks, Jim. Jim's contributions, and Elaine Luce also. Please stand, Elaine. Your contributions also as a former coach and teacher at Washington High. Eldon Byrie isn't here because he's watching his granddaughter play volleyball at O'Gorman, and I was told by Brad Green that we won our first match, 25-21. Is that right, Carrie? Okay. You keep me posted. I'll keep the crowd updated, okay? Lynn Redding, will you stand? I understand Lynn's going off the committee. You've served your term, your time. Thank you, Lynn. Jill Joyce Hazard, please stand up, Jill. These people have done a lot. They were still on the committee when I was several years ago, and preparation, consideration, and everything, again, is wonderful. I'd also like to just pause for a moment and acknowledge two people we've lost in the last year. And it might not mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to me. Coach Dick Day, our longtime football coach and athletic director down here, passed away. And he was actually the head football coach when I was a junior, and just an outstanding man from top to bottom. Tiz Lothrop, and Tiz took more tickets over the years at Washington High events than anybody I think ever, and was just orange and black to the core. So we want to acknowledge those two people. And Dick was also one of the founders of the committee, and just outstanding people. So we miss them, and they were here up until just a few years ago, until health started taking its toll. You are sitting in the site of the first building that was put here in 1873. It was a wooden building. Jamie, I think you were principal that year. It was called Old Central. Then in 1879, it opened up, and it was where Mary Summervold Hall stands, which is obviously where we're standing also. 1908, oh, by the way, when this opened in 1879, it was 1st through 12th graders. So you educators out there, how'd you like to have that in your building? 1908, the North Wing, which is the Visual Arts Center, opened, and then it was named Washington High. The South Wing, Kirby Science Center, opened in 22. In this area, and if you go out and see the picture in the front out here, there's a picture that says, please pass the bond issue, and it was 1933. And this area was all cut out at that time, and this was built between 34 and 36. And then the spring of 1992, Washington High opened at its current site, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're going on our 30th year next year. Is that right? So I don't call it New Washington anymore, I call it Current Washington. I just want to briefly mention the alumni. We have trophy cases up there, we have a classroom that's been restored, we have pictorial collages that you've got to look at. They're just, even if you're not a Washington High person, they're just outstanding, and most of our folks are former administrators and teachers. Bob Caselli just stepped off. He's only 94. I couldn't figure out why he didn't want to keep going. We also have a new mural up there from artist Chuck Bennis that celebrates the building that you should see. I wasn't for it to begin with, and I'm sorry that I took that stand because it's absolutely beautiful. But take a look up there, the trophy cases, and many of these people, I think Dean, your plaque is up in the hallway also, as Dean was a longtime coach and teacher here. So let's get into some introductions here. Will all past Hall of Fame inductees stand? I'm not going to name you by name, but please stand up and let us know who you are. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, this is kind of a tough question, but are there any current coaches here tonight? Probably not. No, and we just want to tip our hat to them. Hey, Coach Riley, I knew that too. Thank you. Coach Harrison's here too. She's not coaching at Washington now, but a longtime coach at Washington. Thank you. So, some special guests. We have the Sioux Falls Assistant Superintendent, Jamie Knoll. Jamie Knoll, please stand. Come on. Jamie's a longtime Washington High person, both as a teacher and principal, and his wife Tammy's here, and she's a counselor at Washington High. So Tammy. We have Principal Carrie Papke. Please stand, Carrie. Carrie was teaching at Washington when I was, so that was you were what, 12 at the time? Assistant Principal Heidi Jorgensen. Heidi, please stand. And Heidi's a longtime teacher at Washington and been in the district for a while, so thank you, Heidi, also. Casey and Laura Miley. We're going to go Casey Miley, please stand. You told me you were cutting out, Casey, so you're still here. Thank you, Casey, for being here. And Laura Miley, a longtime counselor at Washington and now at Jefferson. So we also have Mark Miley, former athletic director for the school district. Mark. Thank you, Miles. And Tony Miley, who's taken more tickets probably than Tiz Lothrop over the years. So, yeah. Dan Conrad, former Washington High principal and now principal at Jefferson High School. And I do have to introduce his wife, Heather Lupe Conrad, who played basketball for me at Washington, so she'll not be happy with me tomorrow. We have Wayne Carney with us tonight. Wayne, please stand. Wayne's our former athletic director at Washington High School. Thank you, Wayne. What's that? We have Dean Mann. Dean, please stand again. Dean's a former athletic director for the district, but a longtime track coach and business teacher at Sioux Falls, Washington. We have Bill Hoff, a longtime administrator in Sioux Falls, and principal at Washington High School. And thank you, Bill, for being here too. And Judy, a longtime teacher in the district, so thank you for being here. I hope I didn't miss anybody. One year at the girls' basketball banquet, I went through the whole thing and missed a girl. And of course, she never forgave me, which I wouldn't have forgiven me either. So we'll get started with introductions. And what we do is we'll call each person up. They'll get a chance to speak. They get really a beautiful plaque, award, and an acknowledgement on the wall at Washington High School. There's a plaque wall, and for kids to see. Probably 3 or 4 years ago, I was subbing at Washington High School, and I was doing cafeteria duty. And my picture, I'm in as a contributor. Don't think I was anything else, because I wasn't. But I went to my picture, and there were a couple students sitting there, and I said, "Whatever happened to that guy?" And they go, "I don't know. I have no idea." So it goes. Like Rick Romer used to say, how soon they forget, how soon they forget. So we welcome you once again tonight, and we'll get going with the program. Our first inductee tonight, I chose a quote from Tony Dungy. "The secret to success is good leadership. And good leadership is all about making your lives of your team members or workers better." Nate Malchow. His commitment to the Warrior Way was evident both on and off the court. According to some of his former students and players, Coach Malchow had the uncanny ability to get the most out of you, whether it was in the classroom or competing for the Warriors. Nate's guidance led the Warriors to state titles in 2008, 2010, and 2014. Nate was selected the Greater Dakota Conference Girls Basketball Coach of the Year 4 times, 2008, 2009, 2012, and again in 2013. Nate also was selected the Washington High Head Coach of the Year twice in 2008 and 2014. Nate currently serves as the athletic director at Washington High School. He and his wife Sarah have 4 children, Macy, Katie, Jake, and Cole. Washington High School is very proud to induct Nate Malchow into the Washington High Hall of Fame. Nate, please join us up here.
Always have to adjust that, but I can lean over here too. But No, it's a great day to be a Warrior, and so much to say in so little time, so made some notes here. I coached and taught many years with Brian Hermanson. He was the best at shooting from the hip in PE class, and I tried to emulate that. We're going to have to read off a script tonight a little bit, though, Herm. So, and thank you, Herm, for everything with the nomination and everything here, too. Appreciate it. First off, I would like to thank the WHS Hall of Fame Committee for the honor of being inducted in the Washington Hall of Fame. The committee does a great job of honoring the tradition and pride we've had for over 100 years at Washington. I'd like to offer congratulations to the other inductees and their families. I had the honor of having Trevor, Josh, and Tom as students, and can vouch that they were also great mat ball players in the PE classes that I taught with Coach Herm. So congratulations, guys. Chelsea and Casey, you're an absolute joy to coach, and we'll always appreciate you and your peers setting the tone for the success in our girls basketball program. Success that is seen to this day for the Warriors. I stand here not only as an inductee, but as a proud coach. So many people to thank in so little time. I'd like to start by thanking my childhood friends who are here, back row, over there. Travis Sieber, Tim Walpole, Josh Bosma, Ryan Goodman, Jim Salfrank, and Todd Schleckaway. We all grew up together in Aberdeen with big dreams to become athletes and have success on our teams. Fortunately, we were able to. You guys have always supported me for the better part of 35 plus years. A testament to all that is all of you traveling to our state tournaments when I coached the Warriors. I think we can attest that we are thankful to grow up in Aberdeen. Thanks, fellas. I was lucky back in 1995 to be introduced to my future mentor, Fred Tibbetts. I played on an AAU team with Fred's son, Nate, and we traveled the country playing hoops for 2 summers. I was finishing up grad school at SDSU when I received a call from Fred to see if I was interested in being his 9th grade coach at Roosevelt. He also lobbied for me to get a PE position at Roosevelt, and off I went with my career in teaching and coaching. I couldn't have asked for a better mentor than Freddie. He always pushed me to be successful and to get beyond my comfort zone in coaching. I tried to soak up all the time I was able to spend with him as a teacher and a coach. Although Fred passed away in 2008, there's not a day that goes by where I don't think of the impact that Coach Tibbetts had on me. I would not be standing up here tonight if it wasn't for Fred Tibbetts. And I'm so happy to have Fred's wife, Mickey, and son, Luke, here tonight with us. I learned my lesson in being humble starting my girls' coaching career at Roosevelt. I was coaching 9th graders during a game, and we did not have a good start. The buzzer rang, and I sent my kids to the locker room. Yeah, they looked at me funny, and I reiterated, "Get to the locker room." Well, we met in the locker room, and as I proceeded to give them a pep talk, the referee came in and told me I had 30 seconds to get my team out to start the second quarter. As we hustled out, Fred was there, keeling over, laughing so hard in the hallway, told me he'd seen a lot of stuff, but he'd never seen that before. When I was hired in spring 2005 as the head girls basketball coach at Washington, I told the hiring committee that they could expect 2 things from me running the program. Number 1, we were going to run a program in a way to make Washington proud. And number 2, we were going to win. Well, we started my first 2 years going 13-31, but things started to turn when we won our first state title in 2008. Thank you to the hiring committee for believing in me, and I know that we have a couple people here who were on that committee. To my peers on the coaching staff at Washington, many of you are here tonight. Thanks for welcoming me as a head coach at Washington and being there to support our program. Many of you were great mentors and sounding boards for a young coach. As coaches, we supported each other, and I appreciate all of you. I was and continue to be able to work for some great administrators during my time at WHS. Bill Hoff, Jamie Nold, Dan Conrad, and Carrie Papke. Each of you embodied the Warrior way as you have led our school. I'm so thankful to have you all as my bosses who supported me and to learn from each of you. Mark Miley, thanks for believing in a young coach to lead a Class AA program. And sorry for getting you a speeding ticket on your way to interview me. Casey Miley, we started as 9th grade coaches at Roosevelt in the early 2000s and now work together as administrators. It's been a fun ride. Kevin Kennedy is not able to join us tonight, but he was the best AD a coach could work for. He was always there to support me, but at the same time understood that growth happens by making mistakes as a young coach, and boy did he guide me through many of those. I appreciate you always letting me know when I deserved a technical foul, Kev. I did have 3 of them in my career. Kevin, you are someone I've always looked up to and continue to do so this day, and happy to call you a friend. So Kevin's unable to make it, but thank you, Kevin. I've always said I've had the best assistant coaches in the state and believe that to this day. Brett Schleckaway called me the day I was hired, and we were together each day through the journey. Schleck is to this day the best X&O basketball mind I've ever been around. Larry Toft joined us in year 3 and was the perfect fit for our staff with his experience and ability to work with our kids to expect their best effort anytime on the court. And he always had great stories too, Tofter. Okay. Pete Eggstead is here, Lisa Riggs, Gretchen Johnson, Dana Biggie, Heather Conrad is here. Todd Alberty spent multiple years as coaches in our programs. I share this day with all of you because you each had a piece of the ability to build a program to the point which is now sustained, where it is now sustained by Coach Jamie Parrish and his staff. And most important, I'm honored to call all of you friends and colleagues. To our WHS girls basketball players, you were the ones that put in the work in and took our programs to new heights that it reached. I would hope that through basketball you were able to learn some life lessons that help you in your endeavors to this day. Being your coach is one of the greatest honors I will ever have. When I was receiving chemo treatments for cancer 3 years ago, I had some tough days during the last infusions I received. A common thought entered my mind. What would my players say? And what this means is for all the times I expected maximum effort, mental and physical toughness from you, now it was my turn to practice what I preached as a coach. I use this for motivation during that difficult time, and I thank you for being an inspiration for me. Finally, I'd like to thank my family members. I'm fortunate to be married into a great family. Thank you to the Tuloboski family for your support through the years. To my brothers, Eric, Peter, my brother Mark, made it with his wife Gina. I grew up on the back roads of the ESD, following you in your athletics and fine arts. I wanted to be just like you, even though I annoyed you, being the little brother who always asked questions. Thank you. Thanks for you and your families always being there for my family and I. It all started with my parents, Tom and Becky, who are sitting right here at this table. The values and lessons they instilled in me formed the foundation for my coaching career. Mom, I think I got my competitiveness and drive from you watching you direct the church choirs and also watching you cheer on the Golden Eagles and the Minnesota Vikings. Dad, I've strived to follow in your example as a dad, husband, and a person. As a kid, I was just amazed watching you at the furniture store, how you treated people from all backgrounds the same, and with fairness, kindness, and respect. Everybody wanted to visit with you, and they still do as I see people coming and talking to you tonight. As a coach, Mom and Dad, you were always there, whether in person or watching online. I've coached in over 225 games in my career. Win or lose, I called you after each one. Thanks for sharing the journey. To my home team, my wife Sarah, and our children, Macy, Jake, Cole, and Katie. Thanks for making me the best person I can be each day. My kids bring the energy every day, following your interest in events, and watching you grow up has made this dad proud. To my wife Sarah, thanks for always being my rock and support. Being a coach's spouse is not easy, and you're always there to support our teams and me. You also had some great game plan ideas in the process. Thanks for being there. Love you. And in closing, it's been an honor to be a part of the Warrior community for the past 17 years. Our Circle of Courage values of mastery, belonging, generosity, and independence ring true in our building after all these years. We recognize the legacy of these values with our Hall of Fame, and let's keep passing this along to our future generations to walk the halls of Washington High. Thank you.
Nate, a good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life, from John Wooden. You did that. You've done that. Thank you. If you don't love what you do, you won't do it without much conviction or passion. Mia Hamm. Chelsea Wallstrom was a 4-year varsity player and 3-year co-captain. Chelsea earned a starting point guard spot under Coach Nate Malchow in 2005. In the fall, Chelsea took a soccer field as a 3-year varsity starter. She was a 3-year track athlete, 2 years in all-state choir, and even once showed up to to basketball practice and hair curlers before a show choir competition with Classic Connection. Now living in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with her partner Anthony, she's currently an account director at advertising agency Laughlin Constable. Her parents, Mark and Nancy, are enjoying retirement in Sioux Falls, and Mark still finds time to yell, "It's warrior time." Washington High School is proud to induct Chelsea Wallstrom into the Washington High Hall of Fame. Chelsea, please join us on the stage.
All right, it seems a little unfair to follow that. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Okay, hi everyone. It turns out that presenting to my clients every day does not make me any less nervous presenting to people who knew me in high school, but here we go. I am incredibly humbled and extremely honored to be in such great company tonight. To the committee, thank you for the nomination. To the inductees in the room this evening, congratulations. I had the privilege of watching all of you in action, even calling Casey my teammate. Casey, there you are, okay. Which makes it even more humbling to know that I get to share this podium with you this evening. Coach Nate Malchow, thank you for the nomination. Just a warning though, that every time you call me Wally tonight, there's 3 more of us in the audience and they're more likely to respond than I am, So if you read my bio, talked to either my parents this evening, or just listened to the introduction, you know that I work in advertising. And in true industry form, I'm going to be sharing key takeaways to explain what high school sports taught me. So takeaway number 1, things may seem impossible right now, but they won't be that way forever. I remember when Malchow started coaching my sophomore year, and we were not great. The first game we ever played, I had somewhere between 5 and 8 turnovers in the first half. My dad could probably tell you the exact number, but who's counting? Our record was 3-18 by the season's end, despite practicing for 2 hours a day before and after school, like we didn't know what losing was. For those who don't know me well, mornings weren't, they're still not my thing, but I'm pretty sure they were Malchow's. We ran a lot at 6 a.m. Anyways, a 3-18 record seems seemingly impossible to course correct, especially in just 2 short years. But the thing about great coaches is that they don't quit on you. Malchow, Schleck, Toft, Eggstead, Johnson, how you got us to 21-3 and the first state tournament girls basketball title since 1981. I will never know, but it's still one of my most cherished memories, along with showing up at Saturday practice with curlers in my hair, singing to Britney Spears before each game senior year, or asking Malchow what a Walkman was when he told us to pack our things for the bus out west. Takeaway number 2, we can do hard things. I signed up for track my sophomore year to run short distances, 100, 200, easy peasy. Maybe the 400 every now and again. But then Coach Lene Harrison-Reimschmidt had another idea. We're gonna try to run you at the 800, she said. It'll be really fun, she said. I remember the pit in my stomach thinking about running around the Howard Wood Field track not only once, but twice. She told me to pace myself, don't feel like I needed to win the heat, it's the first time I'd ever run it. But she knew me better than the voice inside my head knew me. It was hard as hell, but I ran that 800 like I knew what I was doing, and then I ran it every single meet after that with one of my very best friends, Lauren Lambert. And speaking of hard things, I'm not sure if anyone ever saw me play basketball, but I was not really relied on for buckets. Scoring was hard for me, not because I couldn't do it, but because I'd get super anxious trying. Before our state championship game final, Coach Larry Toft told me that every game I'd scored 6 points in, we'd won. So all I had to do was score 6 points, right? You know, it's a combination of 3 2s or 2 3s or some combination of 2s, 3s, and frees. Pretty simple, right? Not for me, but it lit a fire. I scored 6 points, only 6 points, and we won a state title. Takeaway number 3, there should always be more fun than games. It's kind of funny that I saved this one for 3 because these are actually some of the most hilarious memories that I have. But at the state soccer tournament our senior year, Sarah Butte, you'll remember this? All of our dads dressed up in our gear, backwards pants, hats. How they got it, I have no idea. But they danced to get us pumped up for the final the next day. And I'm using quotes because I think that's what they were doing, but I was laughing so hard that I actually stopped breathing for a little bit. So, and then there was the time that Steve Sandhurst was kicked out of a state soccer tournament because he was too vocal on the sidelines with the refs. So he actually went and he hid behind the trees with the other group of Washington fans who had gotten kicked out. They were all actually in high school, and Steve was one of the fathers. My mom was almost right behind him because she got told to shush a couple times too, but that's what parents are for. And I can't forget about the guys in the audience that traveled to almost every game with a couch. May it rest in pieces somewhere. And then there was my dad and Jerry Soholt moving to the opposing team's bleacher to start Spirit Chants when we needed some extra inspiration. My dad and Jim Vandebrake wearing what seemed like every single one of our photo buttons on their hats. They're called the pinheads. It all makes sense now, I think. To what seemed like every high school event, not just our games. And not to bring it up again that we were state basketball champions, but we were. I still feel the nervous energy in the locker room before our final game, and remember we all just started to sing Down by the Bay, just to loosen us up a bit. For the record, I still do this, and it still works. And takeaway number 4, when all is said and done and the buzzer sounds, it's the people you got to do it all with that will be there all those years later. To my coaches, thank you for pushing me when the scoreboard said it wasn't worth it. Thank you for the moments of tension that made me a better athlete and a better leader. Thank you for showing me that hard work really does pay off, even when it means two-a-days, repeat hills, or win sprints for every free throw I missed. To my teammates, Becky, Sarah, Stevie, and those who aren't here tonight, I couldn't and I wouldn't have done it without you. From playing basketball for our dads in 2nd grade, to getting married, building our own families, and making some of the sweetest babies, I'm still thankful to have you all in my life. To my friends, Michael, Colin, Luke, Corey, I added you in. And those who aren't here tonight, you all might as well be family. Thank you for being in the bleachers and on the sidelines, even when no one else showed up. To Mrs. Heidi Jorgensen, you weren't a coach in the traditional sense, but you've taught me more about what it means to be a good person and a good sport and a good person than you'll ever know. To Anthony, who I feel like I've known my whole life, but wasn't there during my high school chapter, thank you for listening to my dad's championship game recap more often than anyone should. Thank you to my family and our family friends for the unwavering support. How lucky am I to have been surrounded by the best cheerleaders my entire life. And to my parents, my first coaches, who came to every single game and every single season of my life. I never fully appreciated the sacrifices you made to be there, but I'll always remember how it felt to know you were. Thank you for being my chauffeurs, my support system, and my biggest fans for 4 years of high school and for every other year before and after. I love you, I'm so proud to be your daughter, and I'm so honored to be inducted as a Wallstrom. Thanks to everyone here for always showing up. I'll always remember tonight, go Warriors.
Chelsea, somewhere behind the athlete you've become in the hours of practice and the coaches who have pushed you as a little girl who fell in love with the game and never looked back. Play for her. Thank you, Chelsea. Coming in every day and walking the walk, that's what you do as a leader. Casey Meeker, Aldrin. Growing up only a few blocks from Washington High School, attending Annie Sullivan Elementary and Whittier Middle School, Casey knew she would become a Washington Warrior. Casey could not wait to join the tradition and the pride of Washington and attended basketball and volleyball camps starting in 5th grade. Casey played volleyball for 4 years at Washington. On the basketball court, Casey was a key member of the 2007-2008 state championship team. She was named to the all-conference first team in 2008-2009. Her most memorable and cherished moment was in 2008 when she made 2 free throws at the end of the state championship game with just seconds left to put the team up by 3 and winning the game. Casey went on to study nursing at South Dakota State, where she met her husband Tyler. They currently reside in Sioux Falls, where Casey is a nurse at Avera in the women's and children's area, and they have a 1.5-year-old daughter named Cohen, and also her parents, Julie and Ron Meeker, are here, and she has a brother, Logan, also, and I want to applaud them also for all they've done for Washington High over the years, so thank you very much. Washington High School is proud to induct Casey Meeker Aldrin into the Hall of Fame. Casey, come on up. You'll give you yourself first.
Well, for how prepared Chow and Chelsea were to give their speeches, I was literally just jotting notes down over there. So, I'm great at casual chatting, but this professional thing in front of everyone makes me very nervous. I was just going to start by saying that it takes a village. For any of you that hear the small child in the back running around, that's mine. So, I don't think I was ever grateful enough to realize how much of a village it took to raise me, get me to all my things, seeing all the tables here of people that I invited, but not only the people that I invited, but the Wallstroms, the Vanderbreaks, everybody at all the other tables, all my coaches. Thank you, because I did not realize that until I tried starting to raise one of my own. And my village just keeps getting bigger. So, to Chelsea and Chow, I'm honored to be here with you guys. But Chow, to be honest, I still have nightmares about the closeout drill. I really don't appreciate it. If you guys don't know, we would all come in really happy after Thanksgiving and Christmas, and he would make us do this drill. It was just running. It was terrible. We regretted our dinners the night before. I would honestly say, I think I'd rather be up all night with my toddler. But in reality, I truly do cherish the memories that I had here, or that I have had at Washington High. I'm thankful to say that one of my best memories, of course, was winning that state championship and making those free throws. But just to preface those 2 free throws, I did miss every other free throw before those 2 in the game. So Chow said I was going to make them in the timeout, so I said, oh God, I guess I got to make them. Here we go. I'm also grateful to say that my best friends in high school are still my best friends today. I'm thankful that they decided to have kids around the same time I did, because I didn't know if that was going to happen, and just thankful for the memories that we had back in high school and that we continue to make to this day. I'm also thankful not to only have my teammates in my personal life, but professionally as well, running into people at work and knowing that no matter how silly or dumb my question is, all it takes is a simple text message through Volt phone. Thank you, Stevie Knutson. I know you're here tonight, girl, for answering all my questions about babies that I have when I'm working in the nursery, sometimes in the middle of the night. Not only thankful again for my teammates and my coaches, but to my family. Once again, Mom and Dad, thank you. I know I didn't realize it when I was younger, how much you guys gave to get me to everything, for insisting to take me to all the team camps, even though nobody else's parents were driving them, that I had to be driven. And just for the sacrifices that you guys made being at both mine and Logan's things. I think they were pushing 90 going from a show choir concert to a basketball game. Somewhere between South Dakota and Minnesota. But again, just want to thank everybody on the committee that chose me to be inducted tonight. Again, I am so thankful and will always be a warrior. Thank you.
Kelsey, here's how I'm going to beat you. I'm going to outwork you. That's it. That's all there is to it. From Pat Summit. Winning takes talent. To repeat takes character. John Wooden. Trevor Gebhardt. Trevor was a 4-time letter winner in football and track and 2-time letter winner in basketball at Washington High. As a 4-year starter at cornerback and receiver, Trevor helped his team to 3 state consecutive championship games. In addition to football, Trevor was an important member of the Warrior track and field team. Trevor held school records in the 200, 400 medley relay and 4x4 relay. In basketball, Trevor was a 2-year letter winner. Trevor continued in academics and athletic career in football at North Dakota State University. As a wide receiver at NDSU, Trevor was a 4-year letter winner. NDSU won 4 national FSC championships during his tenure there. Trevor now resides in Fort Mill, South Carolina, with his wife Carla and their children Everly and Jet. Trevor is currently working for CRISP, a software company. Washington High is proud to induct Trevor Gebhardt into the Hall of Fame. Trevor, please come on.
This is going to be a heck of a lot harder than practicing in my truck. Good gosh. Thank you, Jeff, for the introduction. Thank you to the selection committee for allowing me to be a part of this evening. And thank you all for coming out tonight. Because if you were not here, I would just be a guy standing behind a podium talking about himself. So your presence is appreciated. And congratulations to everybody else on their inductions. We all walked the halls of Washington at one time together, which is crazy. Someone was telling me before this that I think this is the first time it's ever happened. So a round of applause for everyone else so they can get the attention off me for just a minute. But in all seriousness, thank you all. So much is flooding. The lessons that the people in this room have taught me. It's unbelievable. I get credited for a lot of things. None of it's possible for what was given to me. Didn't even plan on saying that. But to look at these faces and see what this place has given me, it's something you can never script. And I'm going to take this in a different route than what you probably anticipate. I'm not going to spend 30 minutes talking about the bison, even though I want to. Talk to me later. I don't have a lot. I want to try to thank as many people as I can. I do want to share one story, though, because I felt like it was a really good embodiment of Washington High School as a whole. And it won't take long, but it takes over the course of 4 months. And for context, or I guess for those of you who don't know, most of you probably already do, I was born in Watertown. I was born in Watertown, South Dakota. I don't even know if I'm going to get through this. And, yeah, haven't heard that before. Thanks, Dad. And we moved here in the summer of 2001. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to be here. I just finished 3rd grade, and all the dreams and goals that I ever wanted to do was right in front of me. Coming here, it was gone. It was ripped from my hands at the ripe old age of 9. And so we come here, Mom gets a job, we come for better opportunity, and all I longed for was for football and school to start. During that process of those 4 months, believe it or not, I became very angry, very resentful, even confused. How is all this happening? Why is it happening? To make it even better, we couldn't even sell our home in Watertown because the market was so bad, so we lived with my mom's sister for 4 months. So I bottled that up deep. But it came out and I had a shoulder pad and helmet on. So when school and football started, I had something to gravitate towards. I had an outlet, I had an identity, and I could make some friends. I don't even know what that says. Oh, I found out I was good at a sport. There's my humble brag. Well, simultaneously, Dad gets a job at Washington throughout that 4 months. Naturally, I became very involved through that, and it was a big burden off our shoulders because he spent 10 years trying to get into Watertown High School. And ironically enough, the last year we were in Watertown, he taught there. So he gave that up to come here, which we didn't know if he'd be more competitive or what. So he gets a job here. I make some friends through football, and to the east side we went, and I was bleeding orange and black ever since. Doesn't take long to figure that out. The reason that's important is because my brother and I want to talk about winning a football championship. To what extent, I don't think we ever really defined. But as a kid, I naturally assumed it'd be for Watertown High School. So again, when we came here, that was gone. And over time, that field goal post obviously shifted, clearly. And I became a warrior for life. And I don't really want to be anticlimactic, but that's the end of the story. But I share that story with you really for 2 reasons. What occurred after that point, like I said at the beginning, is something you could never script. This place took me in and made me one of its own. I think about other kids wearing their shoulder pad and helmet on a Saturday morning at a junior football field, and they might have the same dreams and goals that I had. Why was I lucky enough to live out mine? But when I had a chance to reflect on tonight and what I was going to talk about, and believe me, I wanted to take this in 20 different directions, and I wanted to include all of it, but we'd be here for 3 hours, so you're welcome. I was chasing a dream that I didn't realize I was going after that whole time. I just didn't want any kid coming to the east side feeling the same way I did. Come here, sweetie. That saved me? I did. But the reason was because Washington High School gave me something when it felt like I had nothing. Probably seems silly to a lot of you, but it's the truth. It's my reality. And another reason I want to share that with you is because I want you to take a message with you. It's probably the most important lesson that I've applied in my life from what this place has taught me. No matter what you're doing with your life, or no matter the direction you feel like it's going, or even how much you feel like your back is against a wall, or even if you feel like your dreams have just been ripped from your hands, and you're in a situation you don't even want to be in because you didn't want to be there. At the end of the day, the dreams and the goals and the ambitions that you have for your life, they will never be gone unless you decide they are. Because it may take 4 months, or it may take 10 years. But if there's any lesson that Washington High School has taught me, it is that quitters never win, and winners never quit. All right, I'm done with that. All right, I got to thank some people. I'm going to try to run through this as fast as I can. And I told myself I wouldn't get emotional. You see how that worked out? Lene, Coach Harrison, I'm glad you were at my workouts, not my dad. I don't know where you're at. Where are you sitting? Yeah. You pushed me to limits on the track that I didn't want to go to. You understood the load that I was taking in meets, and you adjusted everything accordingly. And you even would put up with me when my stomach would get upset, so I thank you for that. She's got a story behind that, and you can ask her. I don't want to tell it up here. Hi, sweetie. I'm going to try to go as fast as I can. I'm sure many of you feel the same. I don't think Struck is here. I didn't get a chance to see him. But I love this. Any chance I get to roast somebody, it's great. So Struck, he was my middle school computer science teacher. He was also my high school wide receiver coach. Everyone in this room now knows which one he is better at. But Struck, I made a career off of what he taught me. Not going to go into the details on that, but very thankful for what you coached me being a wideout. Reitzel, I also don't think he's here. We created the original PU, which is just the defensive back unit. But he gave me free rein in the secondary. And even though you're too good to call me back now, I can't imagine anyone else playing the role that you had in my life. That's the note I had for Reitzel. Folsom, he's also not here, but you've been a loyal friend to our family. It hasn't gone unnoticed, and I thank you for always being there for us. Tommy boy, I know you're not here, brother. I wish you were, though, because the bond that we had since our freshman year has gotten us through a lot. But it's just cool to see the success that you've continued to have, and it's not a shock to me. But it is very cool that we're being in this together. It's very fitting. Brady, I don't know if he's here yet. Did Brady make it back yet? No? Huh? There he is. Matt, you need to get up here, man. I've had a lot of friends in my life. I've had a lot of longtime friends, and I've had a lot of close friends. Hi. You want me to wrap it up? Yeah. None of them have checked those two boxes like you have. It could be the brackets that we created in calculus class when we weren't paying attention, or the trips that we had for basketball in middle school every summer. But you've been the definition of a loyal friend and true, and you got me through a lot of tough times. So thank you. I'm going to embarrass this guy because I know he doesn't want me to do it. Doug Cordell. Where are you sitting? Give this man a round of applause, please. I want the attention off me for a minute. So this guy personifies what Washington High School is about. More than anyone I know. You've been through a lot. And you kept pushing and overcame things that are impossible. I gotta quit tearing up so I can see this. Yeah, I'm trying to hold it together, Everly. But I admire it deeply, and I respect the heck out of it. Love you, brother. Tim Marlette, he's also not here. This guy, he taught me the Warrior way, and I credit him for a lot of that. All right, and I got to run through this real quick, so we're not here for so long. Link, you made it to 15 out of 13 games in my senior year, even though you were living in Texas, so that's really remarkable. You were such a big supporter of mine, it meant the world, especially after Grandpa passed. You filled that void for me, so thank you. And it's probably because I steal all your groceries. Bart and Carrie, you guys gave me a place where I could just be me. It was so valuable because I didn't have to be an athlete. I didn't have to be anything. I had an escape. And you know what I'm talking about. So thank you. Ty and Ashley, you're the siblings that I never had. If it wasn't for you, I have no idea how I would have gotten through the things that I did. Ty, you're always going to be a little brother. I'm going to be better at you than everything for the rest of our lives. You're just going to have to accept that. And Ashley, you were a best friend and a confidant. Even if you walk barefoot and eat mashed potatoes with your hands. My brother Justin, he couldn't make it tonight. But when it comes to football, you could say that mission accomplished. I've always looked up to you, and nothing I accomplished here at Washington High School and in Fargo would have been doable without your inspiration. I'm almost done, I promise. Hermie. It's probably about 15 years ago to the day. But what were you thinking to trust a 140-pound freshman in Yankton in a playoff game? I'm still trying to figure that out. That was a terrible decision. You were my second father. The amount of trust you had in me while we were building the best program the state's ever seen is remarkable. I landed in Fargo because of you. And I appreciate that support and trust. I can never pay you back. I don't apologize for what we did to your jackrabbits. I wasn't going to say it, but I had to. All right, these last two, I got to rip through these. I couldn't even write notes for my parents because I started writing. I'm like, this is, Mom, the amount of sacrifices you made for me to compete in sports my whole life is remarkable. It gave me every opportunity to pursue things that kids don't get. It was never as easy as it seemed on the surface. A lot of times I think people see certain things, it's like the red carpet was rolled out. That's not the case. Grandma passed that first year we moved here. Grandpa left the last. I like to think that's poetic in some way. I don't know how. But I know for a fact they'd be extremely proud of the grit that you had to have for our family. Dad, you've played every role in a man's life for me that you can imagine. The day that you picked me up in the house at Watertown, changed my life forever. And on that ride, you told me that everything was going to be okay because Sioux Falls had tackle football. I don't know how you knew that. I was faster than he was, just for the record. But I strive to be half the father that you've been for me. Because if I can do that, I know I raised my kids right. Carla, I'm sure glad we met when we did, because we both know you wouldn't have liked me here. It's all worked out. But as we keep going through this crazy life, we're very lucky to have this community and to have our back. I thank you all truly from the bottom of my heart. And go Warriors.
Trevor, your track coach described you as a perfectionist who would always do things the right way and took no shortcuts. He happened to be Ev Gebhardt, by the way. Note cards always work better, but I never got used to those. A lot of people run a race to see who's the fastest. I run a race to see who has the most guts. Steve Prefontaine. Josh Heitkamp, a 4-year all-state runner in cross country, 3 times named the team MVP and a 3-year team captain. At the 2009 state meet in Rapid City, fighting illness, he again won the individual state title to become the only Washington cross-country runner to ever win back-to-back individual state titles in cross-country. At the 2009 last chance meet at Howard Wood Field, Josh ran a new and still the current school record of 4:19 in the 1600. A few weeks later, at the 2009 state track meet in Rapid City, also a very impressive second leg of the 4x8 relay team that won the second title in a close battle with Yankton. The relay time established a new school record, was the second fastest 4x8 relay in South Dakota history at the time which it was run. After graduating in 2010, Josh continued his education and athletic career at Iowa State University, competing in both cross country and track. Josh currently resides in Sioux Falls, where he's the general manager at Dakota Angler. He's married to Lindsay Heitkamp, and they're expecting their first child in January. Josh is the son of Todd and Roxanne Heitkamp. Washington High is proud to induct Josh Heitkamp into the Hall of Fame. Josh, come up, please.
Thank you, Jeff, for the introduction. I appreciate that. And I promise Everly, wherever she's at, I won't take as long for this speech. We'll get through her pretty quick here. So first and foremost, I just want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for nominating me to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's a great honor, something I've been looking forward to for a while. It's been when I first found out a couple months ago, I was overwhelmed at first. I looked back at a lot of the previous inductees, and to be considered in the same realm as them has been a true honor. I didn't know how to really come forward with this speech at all, whether I was supposed to tell stories about myself, talk about myself for 10 minutes, what I was supposed to do. So I kind of went through and I just thought I would just thank everybody that helped me along this journey through my whole time at Washington and prior to. First and foremost, my parents traveled far and wide to watch me race for 15 minutes. I mean, it's simple as that. You drive all the way to Rapid City, you travel 5 hours, 6 hours there, you watch me run for 15 minutes, you get back in the car, you drive home. It's really not that exciting when it comes down to it. You're watching guys run across the field. You know, Dad was always running back and forth, Mom always running back and forth from spot to spot, trying to catch me everywhere they could. Mom always with the video camera at her side. It was always great with the videos. You could tell if she had to run an extra long distance, you'd hear the, let's go, Josh, yeah, you got it, come on, you got it. So it was always great, you know, at the end of the meets to go back and watch those videos and see and hear their excitement along the way. So truly appreciate your guys' support throughout my time. My brother and sister. My oldest sister was only there for, she would come back, she was in college during the time. She was always shooting me texts, giving me phone calls after meets, talking about how the races went. She'd come back for the bigger meets. It was always very much appreciated when I'd see her at the finish line. So thank you, Courtney, for that. My brother, Nick. So we got along pretty well. As Coach Malchow can attest to, we did share a couple classes in high school together. One of them happened to be a PE class, team sports with Nick and I. During that time, we tried to learn how to work together, to be on the same team. There may have been multiple occasions when, thankfully, Malchow had a very large wingspan and could separate us very well in the classroom. Always great memories. And then Nick's senior year, he did decide to come out for cross country, which was something outside of his comfort zone. Never had been a distance runner, was more of the athletic side of things as opposed to me that could just run in a straight line for a very long period of time. During his time there, he did run varsity a few meets with me, but it was, you know, it truly showed his character by joining into a sport where he knew he wasn't going to beat his younger brother coming in, but he knew he could run alongside with, and it was truly a great honor and a pleasure to run alongside you. Along that same line, my Uncle Kelly, he traveled far and wide to come to our meets, and he even got to do 2-for-1s when he got to see Nick and I run in cross-country meets. There's classic pictures of both Nick and I. One of Nick in the middle of a race looking like he's about ready to vomit. So he was nicknamed Puke. And then during a state cross-country meet, I had a string of snot coming down my face, so I was nicknamed Snot. So we had Puke and Snot for quite a few years there. So thank you, Kelly, for forming your family vacations around my state meets and coming out to support me. It truly meant a lot. And of course, my grandparents, my grandpa Jim couldn't be here anymore, but seeing you guys come to the meets always truly meant a lot. When I could cross the finish line, see your smiling faces and get a warm hug, it always meant a lot to see you guys there. My teammates, AJ Holtz, truly appreciate you coming out tonight. We got to run on quite a few 4x8 teams together. You know, a lot of times your greatest memories may be from the biggest meets throughout the year, but some of my greatest memories come from our small triangular meets or our quad meets where, you know, some of my other teammates who were trying to qualify for the state competitions, this was their chance to really to make that happen. You could only enter so many people for each meet, so this was the time where they could try to make that happen. And I truly took great pleasure and pride in pacing for a lot of those athletes to try to get there. AJ, Alex Holm, Alex Waddell, Cameron Sanis. I had quite a few of those teammates where, you know, when the time came, that was one of my meets where I didn't have to, you know, run the 2-mile, 4x8, things like that, where, you know, we could span that out and try to get some of these other guys qualified for state. And those are some of my greatest memories was working with you guys and getting you across that line as well. I really enjoyed that. My coaches, Coach Shane Riley, my first coach. I came into middle school with Patrick Henry. You probably thought I was the craziest little thing you ever saw. I don't know when I graduated if you thought any different. But I tried to grow up a little bit throughout the years. I don't know how well that really went. But yeah, middle school started off, didn't really know what was going on. It was good to see Jill and Rob Hazard tonight. Their son actually got me into cross country. I tried to go out for freshman football my 7th grade year. Never played football a lick in my life. I barely weighed 100 pounds. Went out for the team, didn't know how to put the pads on, how to put the helmet on, and it took one hit from their son Nolan to make me realize that, yeah, football was not going to be for this guy. I needed short shorts and little tennis shoes and just run, and nobody touched me the whole time. But yeah, so I mean, I made it through middle school, got to high school. That was a crazy experience. And then Coach Schultz, who wasn't able to make it tonight, they had some difficulties making it down. But for him to accept me, him and Coach Harrison Reinschmidt to accept me with open arms and to really try to wrangle me in and keep me contained as possible. I can only imagine the task that was. You guys were definitely not paid enough to make that happen. One small memory from that, we were traveling out to conference my freshman year, out to Sturgis. We had to split a bus with Lincoln, and at the time, the coach of Lincoln was Mark Greeno. The Greeno family has been very well known throughout the area for their coaching abilities. We go out there, and I learned on the way out there that you could grab onto the top bars of the luggage rack and flip in circles. So me being 110 pounds, I'm just flipping in circles the entire way to Sturgis. And Mark Greeno is just looking back at me like I am the craziest thing he's ever seen in my life. I've never raced against his teammates before. He has no idea who I am. And we finished the race, and I had beaten most of his runners. And he turned to me, and he just was astonished. He goes, "You can do as many flips on the way home as you want. I don't care anymore." But yeah, I calmed down a little bit through the years, but thank you to my coaches very much for helping guide me along through the process and getting me to the next level in college. I truly appreciate it. And like Jeff said, after graduation, I did attend Iowa State, ran for 3-4 years at Iowa State, eventually had an injury that ended it, which was very unfortunate, but I did meet my wife, Lindsay, there. She played soccer at Iowa State, so we dated for a few years, and we graduated, got married, and we are expecting our first child here in January, so we are very excited for the road ahead. Once again, thank you to the committee, and thank you to everyone else for nominating me. Have a great night. Thank you.
Josh, your high school cross-country coach, Mike Schultz, who you referred to, described you as an outstanding distance runner, maybe the best ever to run at Washington High School. However, his greatest contribution to the Warrior cross-country and track was the standard of hard work and commitment that has become the expectation of Warrior distance running. So congratulations again. Defensive and offensive linemen control the game, and true sports fans know that. That's from Dante Hall. Tom Farniak. Tom has to be considered one of the top offensive linemen to have ever competed for the Warrior football program. He was a punishing blocker who took great pride in pancaking. I love that word. His opponents, Tom's strength and quickness allowed him to get downfield in a hurry. Voted a team captain by his peers, Tom helped propel the 2009 Warriors to a record of 13 wins and 0 losses, along with winning the state AA title in 2009. Tom was selected to the Elite 45 team in 2008, 2009, along with being named All-City Offensive Team Captain in 2009. He was a GDC All-Conference player in 2007, 2008, 2009. He was selected to the 2008 and 2009 11A coaches All-State team. as the offensive center. He was also the 2008 and 2009 academic all-conference and all-state selection. Tom also competed in track and field for the Warriors, and after graduating from Washington, Tom continued his career as a student athlete at Iowa State as a member of the Cyclone football team. Tom currently resides in Tallahassee, Florida, where he is the Associate Director of Football Strength and Conditioning at Florida State University. Washington High is proud to induct Tom Farniak into the Washington High Hall of Fame. Tom obviously is in the middle of football season, so Tom is not here. But Tom will be recognized and inducted officially down the road at a Washington High basketball game this winter, so stay tuned. Read your now, and you'll know when that's coming. A couple of things before we conclude, and yes, we're just about done, so those of you that need a potty break are getting close. I want to add a couple of things that I didn't leave out, but I left out. I want to acknowledge that Jim Treadit's being inducted into the South Dakota High School Basketball Hall of Fame. Jim, congratulations. That's quite an honor. Read Jim's resume when you get a chance, and it's full. I also want to send best wishes to our dear friend, Mr. John Odney, who is a founder of this committee. John, a longtime coach at Washington, taught at Roosevelt also. And John's had some health issues lately. He is getting better. Dan Goldman and I are kind of keeping tabs on him, and things are progressing. And he wanted to be here tonight. He did tell me I would do a good job as MC, and I'll let you be the deductor of that. And we want to welcome Jeff Kale, who will be the chairman next year of the committee. Jeff's a former student of mine at Axtell Park back in the day. One more quick tidbit about the history. Where you're sitting now is where the stage was at Old Washington. Behind me, there was a movable door that if you open it, and imagine that we can still open it tonight, was the basketball court. If you go to YouTube, there is the last final graduation that took place here in '92, and it's breathtaking. This is full, this is open, and the choir's behind it with around 180 graduates, which was a really small class because that was Roosevelt's first year, and many of those kids had gone to Roosevelt. That was the first graduation that had taken place here since the arena opened in 1961. They used to have graduations here. But if you get a chance, go to YouTube and watch that. There's also a tour of the old building there that's just fantastic that Mr. Zur, who's a former teacher at Washington, put together. So, in closing, this committee welcomes any donations, even memorials, that can help continue to fund this wonderful annual affair. Please consider that. Just get in touch with Coach Melchow, not coach anymore, but you know, what the heck. And I also want to mention that nominations are welcome, as I did at the very beginning. Please, please, if there's somebody out there, let us know. With that, I also have to tell you from Jill Joyce Hazard that inductees, you get your flowers. What a deal. Okay? Thank you for your attention, your patience, and inductees, congratulations. You all did a super job. We're very proud of you. Once a warrior, always a warrior. Thank you for coming tonight.